coming out with a small radius sink. We recognized the problem that they weren't draining. You know, every time we go to at least one person, salesperson in the crowd, every time when we say the small radius sinks don't drain, they all nod their head. Jim's sister has one down in Florida where the cabinet wasn't quite level, and she has to use a squeegee to get the water to her sink. And that was one of ours, but it was one of our old ones before we came up. So when we decided to move into the small radius sink market, Jim says, well, we want one that drains. And so we went factory after factory in China and says, hey, we want one that's going to drain. We need more pitch, because with a flat piece of steel, they bend it. The only drainage they get is when they stamp the drain. Only 2 factories said they can even begin to get more pitch out of it, and only 1 guy would buy the equipment required. What they do with these is they start with a flat piece of steel, but they stamp it with a 15-ton press. That was the key. Okay, now because they have to stamp it with a 15-ton press, they can get a 1/2 inch of pitch, but when they were first doing it, it was getting a lot of wrinkling and you know, just steel wouldn't hold under this pressure. So this sink is almost 14 gauge by Chinese standards. It is 16 gauge South Korean standards, but it's almost they are real heavy sinks. Okay, and that's because we can get the extra pitch in them. All our small radius sinks, if you notice, the holes are in the center of these. Okay, that's both the Evo and the above. The reason for that is, you know, Kraus has one online that the hole's in the back. Well, once you put that garbage disposal off, you have to get to the faucet. You can't get there. So we put all our holes in the center so they're easier to get to. They're easier to remodel and just easier to work with. So these are 90-degree sinks. Okay, so they come 1 to a box. When you get one of these, they come 1 to a box. When we get them from China, these are made with South Korean steel in China. We buy the steel and send it to South Korea so we can get that heavier steel. So these come to us 1 to a box. We get about 400 to a container.
Well, you buy the steel from Korea and send it to China, or you buy
yes.
the China?
We buy South Korean steel and send it to China. It's much more expensive, but it's much better steel. Okay, we have the big single, we have a double equal, and we have this was 70-30. It actually measured out to 60-40. We're renaming it to 60-40, but so it's the size. And that is a more conventional one where they're just taking the side rail and moving it over. Okay, if somebody likes that look. You can, because the drains are in the center, you can turn it 180 degrees and get a 30-70. You can do that on this too if you want, so you get 50-50 instead of 50-50. Now, what's really exciting is we now have, this is a conventional apron front sink. It's a PerfecFlo, so it's going to drain better. It's got the 10-inch box, 10-inch sink, really nice sink. It's very hard to, particularly if you're not putting in new cabinets or you're putting in lower price line cabinets, it's very hard to get it into the kitchen. Our 3321 APF-7 has got this front panel is 6 3/4. Okay, you can see how it's, that's a shipping piece. You break off the shipping piece, okay?
Is this the only one out of the collection that has a firm sink? It's just this PerfecFlo?
Yes, yes. Okay. All you have to do on an existing cabinet, this is 6 3/4. So as long as you have 6 3/4, you take off the false drawer front and it fits right over the top. You put a couple of 2x4s at the back to hold it up until they screw it to the granite, and you can take the 2x4s out. Some of our guys, you know, put a side rail, whatever. You can do different ways, but that's the easiest way is just put those 2 temporary legs in there. A couple of neat things about this is, first of all, it fits existing cabinets. Some of the lower price line cabinets don't have an apron front cabinet, so it works with new construction. It works perfect in a 33-inch cabinet. In a 36, depending, you know, sometimes they have these doors that are, you know, full overlay, is that the right word? Yeah. So sometimes if the opening is a little bigger than 33, our guys either have to put a little filler in each side, or you take that false drawer front and you trim about 1 inch off of it, and you use it as a trim piece on each side. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. We have had these since November. We've sold 4 conventional 10-inch. By the way, this is a 10-inch deep sink. Okay, we may go to 9 inches only because people say it's too deep. But we've sold 4 of the conventional 10-inch fronts, and we've sold 4 pallets of these. So these are going like crazy. Or it'll fit over most. Now you just have to make sure you have 6 3/4. We've had some people who it's exactly 6 3/4, and what they do is they adjust the doors down. Now the other nice thing about this versus the conventional one is all the doors line up, all the tops of the cabinets line up. You don't have them this, and you got the one that you're going to
Right.
bend way over. So this is extremely exciting, and we're really selling a lot of them. Laundry sink. Now this is 2318. Now that's flange to flange, so it's really 2116, but it's 12 inches deep. Okay. We made this a PerfecFlo because you're doing the soap and laundry sink stuff and washing out your paint buckets and everything. So there's more stuff going on. So we made that a PerfecFlo just to make sure.
How deep?
12 inches. The most, if you go to buy the plastic ones or the Blanco one, it's 13 inches. With 12 inches plus the countertop, it's 13 and a half. So it's a conventional laundry sink depth. Okay? All the PerfecFlo come with the grids in the box. Okay? So there's no charge for those.